Morning, everybody. I'm Ron Sachs, and this is the kickoff to MoneyWise Florida, a statewide financial education initiative anchored by Florida's elected CFO, Jimmy Patronis, the Department of Financial Services, and a coalition of partners headed by Suncoast Credit Union, whose CEO, Kevin Johnson, is with us today. Other partners in the initiative include the Florida Credit Union Association, the Florida Insurance Council, the Florida Institute of CPAs, the Florida Prosperity Partnership, the Florida Alliance of Consumers and Taxpayers, and the Florida Bankers Association. We intended to have this news conference live from Florida's capital back in March, but obviously everything's different now. And in this COVID era, we're doing this by Zoom. And to kick us off, I'd like to invite in Lee Hinkle, who is a director of FACT, the Florida Alliance for Consumers and Taxpayers. Lee?
Good morning. I serve as one of the statewide directors of FACT, the Florida Alliance of Consumers and Taxpayers. We're here today to address the hard reality that millions of Americans and millions of our fellow Floridians are facing significant financial pressures dealing with the COVID-19 pandemic. We've formed a statewide coalition of key organizations to help provide useful information and answers to some of the tough questions affecting so many families. We're grateful to our sponsoring partner, Suncoast Credit Union, for providing the resources to support this initiative, and to our many expert partners for lending their insights and resources. This public-private partnership is for the benefit of Florida's families. We're very pleased and grateful to have Florida's Chief Financial Officer, Jimmy Patronis, anchoring this important effort, and to Suncoast Credit Union for the generous underwriting, sponsorship, and support. Now, I'd like to turn to CFO Patronis to share some perspective with you about this important initiative. CFO Patronis?
Thank you, Lee. It's really, it's great to join everybody today, even via Zoom. As Florida's Chief Financial Officer, I know how just important it is for Florida's families to be financially literate. And so we partnered up with these amazing statewide stakeholders to provide our citizens through these organizations productive tools and resources to ensure our families are secure when it comes to their finances. A new survey shows that just how much Florida is worried about their finances. 84% of those respondents showed that they regularly are concerned about their finances. That's up 69% since the pandemic. That's why we're pleased to announce a new statewide campaign to help Floridians get answers, assistance, direction, make good, solid, smart financial decisions. This initiative is called MoneyWise Florida. Join us to help kick it off as Suncoast Credit Union, our lead sponsor, and other experts representing credit unions, insurance industry, consumers, taxpayers, and banks. Thank you all for being here. As Florida CFO, it's my job to make sure that the decisions of the state of Florida's finances are healthy every single day. As a restaurant owner, a husband, a father, each of these roles gives me a different perspective on how important it is to be money wise. So to make sure every dollar is put to good use, not only during these challenging times, but always. Now, I'd love to ask Kevin Johnson, President CEO of Suncoast Credit Union and our key industry underwriter, to share more about this effort. Kevin?
Thank you, CFO Patronis. I'm pleased to represent Suncoast Credit Union and all the credit unions throughout the state of Florida here today. Many Floridians are stressed about their financial situations. The survey released today shows that more than 3/4 of Floridians believe that the pandemic crisis has created more financial stress in their lives. And nearly half of those say it's caused significantly more stress. That's why we're supporting this important initiative to help Floridians get back on sound financial footing and to stay there. Few are prepared for the financial fallout from this pandemic. Now's the time to help Floridians get through it and to plan for a brighter future. Even before the COVID-19 crisis, the MoneyWise survey found that 4 in 10 Floridians found that they needed help with financial tasks. Now that number is much higher, with 7 in 10 Floridians saying that COVID-19 has created new confusion regarding how to best manage their finances. This clearly shows that people have questions or doubts when it comes to their finances. We know we need to do more to help inform and educate them on how best to navigate the current landscape and to regain their confidence when it comes to financial matters. That's what this initiative is all about. So now I'd like to introduce to you Jared Ross, who is president of the Florida Credit Union Association. Jared?
Thank you, Kevin. It's clear that Floridians are going through this unprecedented time in our lives with strength, hope, and resiliency. But it's also clear that always challenging money matters have become even more difficult for so many families in every community in our state and around the nation. The survey revealed that 4 in 10 respondents have had difficulty paying for at least one type of expense in the past few months. For that reason, it's so important to provide the facts and truth to our neighbors statewide about how to access resources and assistance that is available, and how to get connected to reliable experts to help answer questions and solve problems. This coalition of groups in relevant fields, led by CFO Petronas, is dedicated to being one of the trusted sources of information to help families through these times. Our next speaker, Cecil Pierce, President of the Florida Insurance Council, will explain more. Cecil?
Thank you. For those of us who work in Florida's insurance industry, we see our mission as helping Floridians protect their financial security and their most important assets. As we have seen recently, the unexpected does happen, sometimes on an epic global scale, and if you aren't adequately insured or prepared, it could be disastrous for you and your family. Oh, I'm not on. 60% of the survey respondents say they will be seeking financial advice, including where to find financial relief, how to make savings last longer, doing an audit to see if families have adequate insurance policies, and how to deal with debt as a result of the economic hit of the COVID-19 pandemic. Through the MoneyWise Florida initiative, our goal is to help our state's residents gain a better grasp of personal finance, in addition to finding resources to help navigate today's current situation. In today's global and digital world, consumers are expected to make more financial decisions, often among more complex options. MoneyWise Florida will help them learn about credit, debt, savings, investing, and insurance.
Now we're going to hear from Anthony DeMarco, Executive Vice President of Government Relations at the Florida Bankers Association.
And build better
Microphone.
themselves, their families, and their communities. I'm sorry, hold on.
That's all right, Anthony.
I'm sorry, I was unmuted. This is important at a time when our state residents are struggling with the impacts of the coronavirus. They need tips on things like paying their mortgage or rent, managing debt, and finding ways to save. Complicating all this is the fact that many people do not have adequate savings to weather these kinds of financial storms. The survey revealed that 70% of Floridians could not make ends meet for more than 6 months on savings alone. This number soars to 88% for those younger than 35 and 89% for minorities. Yet we know that emergency funds are essential for keeping people from drowning in debt when the unexpected happens. The survey shows that the expenses people are having trouble paying are credit cards, car payments, mortgage or rent, food, and their utilities. Those line items often help define security and quality of life for all of us. MoneyWise Florida is about trying to help ease this burden. And I'll turn it back over to CFO Petronas.
Thank you, Anthony. So look, this has been a great kickoff. Saving money, sticking to a budget, staying out of debt are skills that last a lifetime. Since COVID-19 has changed, it's never too late to learn. And when Florida families need to be preparing for our future, we want Florida families not just to thrive. It's not just, we want them to thrive, not survive. Try to do a little play on words. Anyway, so great to have everybody joining us here today. This is why this effort is supported by such a broad coalition of financial experts, consumer interests. It's all about educating you. It's about the consumer. It's about how you can maximize your finances, no matter what your income is, whatever your age is. We're all here to protect your financials, your family's financial integrity. We make decisions every day that affect our bottom lines, whether it be comparing prices at the grocery store or buying a house. We hope MoneyWise Florida educates and enlightens residents about how to best manage their finances. We also want Floridians to use and visit the MoneyWise Florida website, where there are helpful articles, links to financial matters, including COVID-19 impacts. Our wish is for Floridians to be financially secure, to be able to provide their families today and well into the future. Lee Hinkle, please, look, thank you for everything you've done. You're amazing. I turn it over to you for a wrap up.
Thank you, CFO Petronas, Suncoast, and our MoneyWise Florida partners. Now we're going to take a few questions from our media friends who are essential partners too in helping keep Floridians informed about economic issues.
So for the media friends participating in this call, please use the chat function to send in your questions, and then we will read them verbatim and find out which of the presenters here can best answer them. What I'd like to observe is that as a native Floridian, all of these great organizations work in their own lane every single day to help Floridians with financial issues. But because of the unprecedented era in which we're in, where folks' finances are stressed even more, they've come together in this somewhat unprecedented coalition to respond to the needs in this time. So thanks to all the partners. Well, as a former journalist, I guess I'll tee up a first question if they're slow to come in from our journalist friends. So I would ask you, folks, obviously, toward what we've heard, are having a problem paying some bills on time. There's obviously some forgiveness and pause buttons being hit, whether it's an executive order from the governor or a mortgage forbearance program that many of the banks and financial institutions, credit unions have offered. So I'd ask Kevin Johnson, for example, if people are needing to consider buying a car now or buying a house, is this a good time amidst this prolonged era to do that? Kevin, will you take a shot at that, sir?
Absolutely. Thank you, Ron. I would say it depends on the person's budget and their unique situation. Of course, you want to make sure that you're employed still, but if so, it's a great time. You know, the car dealerships are struggling right now with sales, and they're offering a lot of really good deals and even financing. But even if you don't get the good financing there's a lot of great credit unions and other financial institutions that offer good financing. So you might find that if you needed a car before this, that you would get a much better deal now, and you could get better financing options as well.
Well, toward that point, without endorsing a specific brand of car, we're seeing commercials and other advertisements advertising no payments till 2021 and at a 0% interest rate. That deal sounds too good to be true. Is it, CFO Petronas, or are vendors and just trying to offer deals to lure folks back into the marketplace?
Well, look, I've been talking to boat dealers. I've been talking to RV dealers. Numbers right now and a couple of these leisure market sectors have definitely spiked as interest in people's interest have changed with the absence of travel baseball, with the absence of, getting the regular scheduled cruise lines back on footing, with vacation travel. People are shifting their dollars or spending it differently. So, I mean, where we see one shift, we see another one gain. But I'd be remiss if I didn't thank all of our financial institutions, our banks, our credit unions, our credit card companies that have understood the circumstances that our citizens have been going through, and in all different ways, making it understandable and flexible as people have been challenged with receiving regular income as they feel like they can handle and balance a checkbook during COVID-19. The flexibility that all these different financial institutions have offered in order to create flexibility as their own employees have been affected by COVID-19. This is an unseen enemy. This is something we've never dealt with in the history of the state of Florida to this degree, of this type of a financial impact. And if you look at what we have had to endure, we will bounce back. But to your point, there is inventory on car lots. There is a change in people's, buying, and there's bottled up demand. People have got cabin fever. They've been stuck at home, and some of us have gotten excited about wearing ties again. So anyway, it is what a challenge it is as we face the loss of life that people have dealt with. Our first responders working 24/7, 365. But slowly but surely, we're going to get back on our feet. We'll have the Florida that we all love and cherish back to normal.
Well, thank you, CFO Patron. It's been a bit of a problem with the journalists getting their questions through the chat channel. So we're going to unmute the journalists and ask them to politely, alternately take turns asking their questions. But Lee Hinkle, one question I would throw in before we get a journalist question would be consumers still need to be careful when they're buying in this era, right? And do the research they normally would do about, is this a good price? Is this a good deal?
They probably need to do more research now, but definitely there are some good buys out there, but we all need to take care. We need to be careful, and we need to do research before we make a purchase, especially in these times.
Okay, for the journalists, my colleague Lisa Garcia is sitting next to me. If you raise your hand, she will unmute you so you can get a question in here to these great presenters. We got a, okay. So I'd ask any of you, while we're still waiting for journalist questions to get queued in here, the government has kind of pushed forward the deadline for income tax filing, which normally is April 15th, and that's extended into the fall. Good idea for people, get it done now, or do we still need to see where the fiscal impact of this is going to take folks for their returns? And I'll go to CFO Patronus or Kevin or anybody.
Well, it's funny. I wanted to ask that question to Deborah. I was thinking, you know, as we've been faced with, you know, changing. Look, I know people, some that I may share a household with, that have trouble getting all their paperwork in on time when it comes to tax filing deadlines. So now you've put this, you know, pushback 90 days from the traditional date. You know, what are our CPAs seeing in the state? Are they seeing people are ready sooner, or are they still going to be pushing it right up to the envelope?
So that is a good question for Deborah Curry, the exec of the Florida Institute of CPAs. Deborah, can you come in here and compliment the CFO's good answer?
I certainly can, and thank you for teeing that up, because it's a great point at this time. One of the first things I would say is that, yes, there is an extension of the federal tax return to July 15th. But if you have your information, and especially if you're going to get a refund, if you anticipate a refund, get it in now. That's to your benefit. Getting that cash in hand can help you pay with your bills. We're seeing this cash struggle that so many people have.
We're happy we were able to present the rollout of MoneyWise Florida. Again, there's a lot of content on the website. There will be informational videos being produced in the very near future to help Floridians through this difficult time. And we want to thank all the partners, CFO Patronus, Kevin Johnson and Suncoast, and all the others. And we will have more information. Thank you, CFO.
Appreciate you. Y'all are the best. This is tough times, but we're all in it together, and we'll be better after it's all said and done. Stay safe.
Thank you. Same to all of you.